Girlfriends Chit Chat Show. For you all who've never seen our show before, here on this platform, we talk about business, life, and trust me, everything in between. So get ready for this amazing season. We hope you love it as much as we love coming to you every single Friday night at 7 p.m. I would like to welcome everybody to meet my amazing co-host with us today is none other than Miss Shauna Price. Welcome, Shauna.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. So excited about this season. Let's get it going.
Yes, we cannot wait any longer. We have an amazing guest that's going to be with us today. We are so excited about having Miss Benisha Wyatt with us, and we're going to dive deep and getting to know a little bit about her and what she is doing. So let's get ready to meet this amazing woman. Hello, everyone. Let's please welcome Miss Benisha Wyatt to the show today.
You guys look fabulous.
You too, girl.
I appreciate it.
We are so excited to have you with us today, and we want everybody and all of our viewers to get to know a little bit about you and what you doing with yourself, girl. What you doing?
You know, girl, I'm over here moving and shaking, but I am really enjoying this season of my life with Prevailing Women Christian Coaching. So helping women to just recover from unhealthy relationships and divorce and really finding their identity again.
So Benisha, tell us a little bit about how did you get into the relationship coaching business?
Sure. So generally purpose is birthed through pain. And so I went through a divorce myself several years ago. And as I was going through that divorce and really seeking God, because I am a Christian, coach. And so as I was seeking God, I just felt that he was telling me to prevail, which means to overcome, to triumph over the pain and the hurt and the disappointment and the frustration. And so really that's where the name came about. Little did I know it would turn into a coaching business, because it went from that moment to me relocating in the midst of the divorce to Charlotte, North Carolina as a single mom with 2 kids, starting all over again. So really it was a healing journey and a healing process that got me to this place where now I want to pour back into women the same healing that the Lord allowed me to experience from the pain of divorce.
That's amazing, I think, because a lot of us go through relationships and we don't have anybody.
That's right.
Because a lot of times you say, oh, I got a girlfriend, but my girlfriend's married.
Yes.
And then I'm going through something that is unrelatable to them.
That's so true.
And seeking and being in a relationship with God and having that understanding of, I don't have anybody I can partner with.
Right.
To allow me to get through or even transition.
Yes.
Because if you've been married a long time, that transition could be hard.
When you said transition, it just got my wheels spinning, because you have to think, not only was I transitioning from being married to single, I was transitioning from Rochester, New York, which is where I'm originally from, to Charlotte by faith with 2 kids.
Wow.
So it wasn't just a natural transition, it was a spiritual one all at the same time. And that community piece is essential.
Yes.
So I had to pray that. I said, you have to create me a family, because I really didn't know anyone. And so that's where the healing part really began. Because what I recognized after divorce is that God just didn't want to heal me from the divorce. He wanted to heal me from all the things that I had brought into the divorce.
Oh, wow.
Right? All the mindsets, all the behaviors that I didn't even know that I was carrying that aided to that divorce happening.
Wow. That's deep.
I agree, because a lot of times we're not necessarily thinking about all of those things that are if I could say, sitting on top of
that's good.
this one thing.
Yeah.
I have a question, and that question is, the ladies that you work with, what do you find most common with all of these ladies? Outside of, oh, I'm going through a divorce, or I'm in a toxic relationship trying to recover, but like spiritually, emotionally, what do you find most common?
So I would say emotionally, the first word that came to me is just being broken.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime you've been in a situation, and it doesn't have to be romantic, it could be a platonic relationship, right?
Absolutely.
But once that relationship is dissolved, there is this brokenness. You alluded to this earlier. You know, sometimes it's depending on the length of the relationship,
yes,
right?
Definitely.
And sometimes I find the longer the relationship, the deeper that brokenness.
Yes.
Also, what may have caused that relationship to dissolve, if it was betrayal. So you have all these different emotions. They're angry. They feel betrayed. Sometimes they feel like God has forgotten about them, right?
Yeah.
And I can so relate to that. When I say this is like my passion, because I've been there and I've done that. And so we lose ourselves, especially I would say in a marital relationship, because when it dissolves, the question you often ask yourself is, was it me?
Was it me?
What did I do?
And what can I do now?
Yeah, and where do I begin? Especially, like you said, if it was a very long time. It's like entering into a foreign country, for better lack of words. Everything is so new and everything is so different. And so one thing that I honestly believe is that once you get your relationship with God and yourself healthy,
vertical,
then every relationship, not just romantic, but every relationship is going to begin to flow from a healthy place. And as a woman, and as a single woman today, I feel more confident that I can choose better because I'm healthier.
Yeah, but that's kind of crazy because, see, with me, I've been married. Well, I've been with my husband for like all my life, but we've been married for 22 years.
All your life, that's a long time.
Yeah, so I was like, all your life, girl.
So from when you talk, it's like, I don't even know where I would start.
Right.
Because I would be so lost in 3 kids, you know, and met my husband in college, and like, I left home and married. It's like the old school way of doing things, where you will move from your mama house, and then then you get a husband, and that's normally how we used to do things. But for me, it would be so foreign. And it would be hard for me to figure out, because I think a lot of women, and if you can relate to this, let me know. Is a lot of times we find ourselves, our man defines us sometimes. We look to, how can I cater to you, what I can do for you, you know, because then you tend to lose yourself and you don't realize.
That's true.
You're giving up a side of yourself because you're giving everything to him.
That's so good.
And so unfair. But I say that because I'm a married woman now, learning to say, okay, Shauna, you got to start doing things that are going to, you know, enrich Shauna. Make Shauna better.
Absolutely.
And, you know, he's not hating. He's okay with it.
Yeah.
But because I found myself being that woman who,
I agree.
I was Marco's wife, Chloe's mom.
Yeah.
And I didn't have no other identity. And when I tell you it's for the birds.
Right.
The birds.
That's so good. And it's so true, ladies. And I think no matter where you find yourself, identity is the key to everything.
Yeah.
So that's why God is so important to me and into coaching, because your identity really has to be rooted in God.
Right.
And if you keep that relationship vertical in your quiet time, he's going to tell you things like, hey, you need to, you know, do this. You need to do that. I think one thing that is very, very important in relationship with God is that a lot of times we're focused on what everybody else is doing.
Yes,
but he is focused on you.
That's true.
So every time I would go, and even when I was married, when I would go, honey, I'd be in them scriptures like, this is what a husband's supposed to be doing. The Lord would be like, boo, you're in the wrong scriptures. Right? What I found as a single woman is that just because, now listen to this, y'all. I'm not stepping on nobody's toes. I'm just saying my experience. Just because I had the title of a wife doesn't mean that I know how to be a wife.
Y'all.
And a godly wife.
Let me tell you something. I have to totally agree with that, because I married at 24. I did not know how to be a wife.
No.
Let alone, and I'm going to be real with y'all, and I don't mean to be mean, but I don't encourage my daughter to marry that young, because I want her to find her. I want you to identify with who you are, you know, and what do you like to do? Where do you like to go? You know, and a lot of times when we look at ourselves now, you'll say, oh, Mary, what do you like doing? Well, I'm with my kids. And no, what do you do for you?
Right.
So what are you doing for yourself?
Right.
And if you can't sit back and think to yourself, well, I really don't do much of nothing.
Right.
Then that kind of says right there,
you don't know who you are.
You don't know who you are.
Exactly. And listen, we all were created on purpose for a purpose. One of your purposes is to be a wife. One of your purposes is to be a mother. But you have other things that God wants you to do.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And
Absolutely.
so in order to find that, we have to be in a posture to be praying. And self-care for a lot of women, we think it's selfish. But what I found is when I take that time, I show up to be a better wife, a better mother, a better employee, whatever the case may be, because you've gotten that time to kind of woosah, for better lack of words. You have to refocus. And one thing I really think is important, and you may be asking, like, well, how does that look? Well, I had to get help. I love Jesus. Everybody who knows,
I Lord.
I love the Holy Ghost. You my friend, we talk every day. But I had to go get on somebody's couch.
There you go.
Right? So therapy was something that really helped me recognize the things that were unhealthy in my life that I really didn't know. Because when you've been conditioned, let's just talk about our environment, how you were brought up. You think that your thinking is healthy. Honey, I got on that therapist couch, and you know, I'm kind of strong a little bit, but I was strong and wrong. Because when she asked me some questions, when she asked me some questions, I was like, yeah, I just shot off the answer. She said, and you think that's healthy? I said, oh, it's not. So that's why it's important to have community. That's why it's important to have friends that will speak truth to you.
Yes.
Regardless of if it's, not that we should be in each other's business, husband, wives, whatever, but if you see somebody doing something that would cause some division, or you just have more wisdom in that area, then I think we should share that. So my healing journey included, I prayed, I fasted, because I needed direction.
Yes.
I'm picking up my whole family. I quit my job, y'all. I never quit a job a day in my life.
Wow.
Quit my job. I had a limited amount of funds in the bank, but I had a word from God. I had never done anything like that. And in the midst of all of that, I still had to heal from this divorce. Why did it happen? There was infidelity. So it was different. It was just layers. But one day I told myself, you're not going to be bitter. You're going to get better.
Come on, sis.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what's also good about what you just said, too, because I think we say it a lot, but we don't really think about it. But had you not been obedient,
come on with the obedience. Come on.
I tell you, I sincerely believe obedience is God's love language.
Yes.
And had you not been obedient, who knows where you would be today, but you would not be prevailing.
Listen, okay, I can't run this right here. That is so, we're on the set. But let me tell you why that is so true. And I just like to be, authentic and as transparent as I can be. When you say obedient, so imagine I'm moving to a whole different city. My ex-husband is, back doing his thing, and I'm trying to figure out life with these kids, what church I'm going to go to. I really don't have this tight community just yet. What really does this look like? So God will give you a promise, because he gave me a word. He told me how it was going to work out, but he didn't tell me the in-between. Like,
that's right.
It was going to take me 9 months to land a permanent job. And, so in the natural, it looked like I was going backwards from all the things that I used to have and do. But what he was doing is spiritually, this is what he told me. He said, it looks like the natural things are going away, but I'm building you up spiritually. And when you get built spiritually, then I'll add those things.
Yes.
And so it caused me to have to seek him, like you said, and be obedient.
Come on,
listen,
6:33.
come on, put him first. Right. So men was out the question, even though I wasn't thinking about, when you so broken, honey, I wasn't thinking about nothing.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
I wasn't thinking about nobody else. But he told me that, like, dating was off the grid. Like, you can't date, you can't focus on no man. And exactly this is what he said, and I thought it was so powerful. He said, most people don't heal because they go get something or somebody.
Yeah.
Okay? So either we gonna go get another boo, we gonna turn up, you know, I'm gonna go have sex, I'm gonna get this drug. He said, but you're gonna go through this journey with just me and you. So when you come out, you'll be whole. So now I get to go and help women through this process. I know what it feels like to be abstinent. I'm living that life because I made a decision that, God, I want you and only what you have for me. I had to cry a whole lot. I shed a whole lot of tears, but I also was able to gain so much clarity and knowledge. I mean, we don't think about why God tells us not to do stuff.
Right.
Soul ties. I had daddy issues I needed to address. I had mommy issues I needed to address. So a lot of times we go into these relationships with all of these issues.
Looking for that person to fix it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
When God is like, if you put me first, and if you allow me to heal your heart, because it's the heart that needs to be healed. What does the Bible say? It says, out of the heart flows the issues of life. And so although my ex had done these things, let me tell you, can I just tell y'all this part right here?
Tell us. Give us the tea.
When I was up close and personal with the Lord, and I was boo-hoo crying about everything that happened, and he was a great guy. He just made some mistakes just like we all have,
Yes,
right?
that's true.
And so when I was at my lowest, you know what our daddy said? My daddy said, he said, but that wasn't my choice for you. That hurt.
Yeah, it should have, because you were stepping outside of his will.
That wasn't my part. So a lot of things, not saying that it gives the person to mistreat you, to do different things, but at the end of the day, it goes back to that obedience. Did you ask me, should you date him? Did you ask me, should you marry him? Did you ask me, should you take the job? It don't matter if it was 6 figures, because I know what's attached to it.
That's right.
Right? And so now, going through the healing process, I think the one thing that I've learned the most, and I try to teach my clients, is don't depend on yourself.
That's good.
Don't depend.
That's
that
good for us
Proverbs,
married women, honey.
listen, that Proverbs 3, 4, 5, and 6 was the staple scripture he gave me before I left.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Lean not to your own understanding.
That's right.
Right? And he will direct your path. And so all the pain, all the tears, all the things that I've experienced, it really grew my relationship with God to a whole nother level, where now I became a whole person. So I can show up, because I will be a wife again, but I can show up healed and not looking for him to affirm me in a way, because that's the thing, right? Whether we get married or we're at work, if you don't know who you are, because they're not perfect and neither are we.
That's true.
So he's not going to always be able to meet that need. And I believe that's where God comes in, and he makes all the difference. When he hurts your feelings, when he doesn't do what you want him to do, what are you going to do? You can't let this flesh dictate where you're going to be, what you're going to do. No, you got to go back to the master and say, okay. And it takes humility.
Yes, it does.
And without God, that's hard.
It's real.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Because my mind is over here, because I haven't walked in these shoes.
Yeah.
And Lord willing, I don't have to.
That's right.
Lord willing, he stay where he's supposed to.
and you stay
and
where you
are.
Yeah, that's right.
But how did you know? Because growing up, my grandma would always tell us, God only honors the first marriage, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. But how did you know you were supposed to get a divorce?
That is a great question. Lots of prayer. Lots of prayer, and making sure that you had the right individual speaking to you. Because, sometimes you got some homegirls that's like, he did what? Like, let me put these shoes, let's go. You know. But honestly, it took quieting the world and getting into the Word of God. Because let me tell somebody out here, you may have experienced infidelity, but that doesn't mean that your marriage is over.
Right.
I know many people who have experienced infidelity and they're back together. So you have to seek God for what plan he has for your life.
That's true.
Right? And so even though there was infidelity in my marriage, I didn't automatically just say, I'm going to divorce. No, I was seeking God. What do you want? What's the plan you have? And so when the Lord told me to move to Charlotte, that only could have been God, because I'm not even divorced yet. We just separated. And you're telling me to move to a whole different city, right? But I had to be obedient. And so to your point, it's seeking God and not allowing people to give you their opinion. Wise counsel, not everybody's voice. And then at a point, because another person has a will too. So you can't force nobody to love you. Can't force nobody to want to be with you, right? And so at one point, the Lord just said, you're released. And I have biblical grounds, right? Because there was infidelity. But even with that, again, I didn't just rush to say, oh, I'm over it. Because at the end of the day, maturity, right? It takes two people to be mature to be married.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I had to put my big girl panties on and say, I could see how I attribute it to some of this.
How did you contribute to the delinquencies of your relationship?
How did I? Because, I was independent. I had been on my own since I was like 16.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a whole story. Yeah. But that came with a lot of independence. You can't be independent in a marriage, right? You can't be in a marriage and not know how to build a man.
That's true.
Right? And so, no, it doesn't give them the okay to go out and cheat. But if I can sit here and be honest, I can see how it opens those doors.
Yeah.
So I had to take some accountability from my part as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Honesty.
Because a lot of us, see, think about it, a lot of people don't take accountability.
Right.
A lot of people don't acknowledge, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
You did it all. It was all you. And then you sit there and say, okay, but then how can I figure out what I did?
Right. Right.
Because then the burden has been placed on you that it was your fault.
That's right.
So now what do I need to do to fix me? But in the process, like you said, you have to seek God and have a clear understanding of how your role played, how you played in this whole situation from beginning to end.
That's right.
Because it's not like, oh, in the last 6 months this happened.
Yeah.
Oh, in the last 10 months this happened. No, it could have been, it was already red flags already going up. The question is, were you listening to God, or were you even paying attention?
Come on.
Because you get so caught up in being a mom.
Yes.
Going to work every day. You feel like you're doing your part and you're sharing a relationship. But a lot of times, you're like, well, maybe I did overlook that.
Right.
Well, maybe I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
How red does the flag have to be?
Exactly.
I don't know. I think, so, but we get to that point.
You do.
You know?
You do.
And so you have to be able to say, look, let's figure this thing out. And then be able to, like you said earlier, you need to seek God for every decision that you want to do in your life. Like you said, getting a new job, you know. But at the same time, like my grandmama always said, you shouldn't be looking for a man.
Come
He should
on.
be looking for you.
Thank you.
Come on.
That's how it's supposed to be. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know, because us as women, we go out, we hang out with our friends, we go places, we meet guys. But God sends you the man he wants you to be with. You know, and the question is, are you listening and watching when he does appear?
And how can you recognize him, right, if you don't even know you? So what I had to learn, one thing that I also teach in my coaching is, what are your values? So we're spending so much time trying to figure out who we're supposed to be with when we don't even know who we are. That's really what your single season should be like.
Right.
What's my values? I went back to school. I'm in school still. I'm in school. I had to really sit down and I went to therapy. I'm thinking about, what are my values? Bigger than that, what's my purpose? Because if I know my purpose, that means when he comes, I can tell whether he aligns with where I know God is taking me.
That's right.
And even as married women, you still have a purpose. There's something that God wants you to fulfill. And I really believe that we have to invest not only in ourselves and our relationships with God, but we have to invest in our relationships. So when you're married, even with kids and things of that nature, right? Because I have a lot of friends that's married. I even coach some married people in certain instances, just things that I've experienced that I don't want them to go through, just sharing very candidly. But what I recognize is you have to make time. You have to still date. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to continue to learn your partner, because as time goes on, everybody changes.
Yeah.
So what's your love language? You know what I mean? Like these things that we just did not know. I didn't even know what a love language was, but because I wanted to get better, I began to invest in what do I need to do so that when this next time comes around, I won't be the same person. Because if we don't address those things, this is one thing God showed me. He said, you are the common denominator.
Yes.
Listen, I say that all the time.
You take you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So we want to fix everybody else, when really, and it's humbling, but the more healthier I get, the more freedom I experience, the more I want it. The more I want it. So guess what? I have a coach. I go to therapy still. And I have different pockets that I actually make sure that I'm a part of. Like I do a Bible study with other women, because we need that community and we need that support. I have women that's older than me that's been married 30 years, one of my best friends, and so I can glean from her. We gotta want to glean, y'all.
Yeah, you have to.
We can't think that we just know how to do it. Listen, you can cook, clean, sex. That ain't all to a marriage. We gotta cultivate the men that we're with.
Yes.
Yeah, God, that's so good. Listen, when we talk about relationships, and she like you said, it's any relationship.
Yeah.
But when we talk relationships, I'm like in total agreement about you have to understand healthy for you before you can be healthy with anybody else.
That's true.
Yes.
Boundaries, whatever the case may be, you have to be able to say this is what healthy looks like.
Yeah.
And understand it, and then give a little grace, right? Give a little grace so that people understand how to interact with you, right? But let me tell you.
Let's talk about that boundary for a second, though.
We can go all the way to that.
Oh, yeah.
So boundaries
yes.
in relationships, boundaries in marriage, and that people pleasing, right? And so all of those things are driven from an unhealthy place, usually when we were younger. Right? And so again, whether we're married or whether we're single, we have to be able to identify, I have an issue in this area, even before we can address it. Even God wants us to come and say, hey, I recognize that I do A, B, or C. Lord, help me with that.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we have an issue with being vulnerable and an issue with being transparent, because if we say, that's it right there.
It's called pride.
It's called pride.
Yeah, pride.
But what we don't know is that when we humble ourselves, even the Bible says when you humble yourself, God will exalt you. It really is a strength that comes being able to say, this is something that I need to work on. So I've learned, and I'm still learning to do that. And I see that I've become so much more healthy in my thinking, and all my relationships has flourished. Me and my children, at work, because it becomes a mindset now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and a behavior.
Right, because the relationships are not just being in a relationship with a partner. It means that you're in a relationship with your friends.
Absolutely.
Like, so your coworkers. Because everything plays a part.
That's right.
In your developmental stage of having a relationship and what it looks like. Now, granted, being with someone, there's different levels of relationship.
Absolutely.
And understanding that, do I do the same thing with him that I do with you?
Absolutely.
You know, you look at those and you try to compare, but there's no comparison because I'm intimate with you. This is my friend.
That's right.
So there's two different levels of the relationship.
That's right.
But at the same time, it's still you being able to identify with, maybe there's some things I need to work on.
And be honest with
Yes.
it. And again, that's where Christ, I believe, comes into play, because if you're taking quiet time, I try to spend time with God every day. And when he shows me something, I don't take it as, now I used to when I was immature, and when you have daddy issues, because many people don't know that when you're dealing with daddy issues, you treat God the same way that you did your natural father.
No, Daddy, I'm not
right?
going to do that. Yeah, I told you to do that. No, I won't do that.
Exactly.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Exactly.
Why you not going to? Because I don't want to. You know, it's being obedient.
It's being obedient.
Yeah, you hear him talking to you. I need you to do that. No.
Right.
She telling her business.
She telling all our business. Because
I've done it.
Because we all have been there.
I tell God, I told, and people say, how in the world you tell God no? Is it because he's my daddy? And I said, no. Because he could be stretching me.
Right.
He could be positioning me to move somewhere else. He could be positioned. Because imagine you uprooted your life, your kids. And you can say, no, God, I'm not doing that. That's too much work.
But you know what? When you have a relationship, because I've been in that place where I said no.
Yeah.
And then what I do? I gave in. You know why? Because I recognized that his way is not the best way.
Nope.
And when I didn't give in, there was always consequences. Some that I'm still paying for. He gives us the grace. See, that's another thing. You know, I had children at an early age, and, you know, being a single mom and how hard it was, all of those things. But when we go back to the core of it, if we want to be honest, that wasn't God's way. So just like you talked about, you know, the blessing of obedience, there is a consequence to disobedience.
Don't
it's
I
a
know?
complete sacrifice. That's probably what it is.
And we don't even know what we sacrifice, right?
Right, we're going in blind.
You don't even know.
But you're not thinking about that, because when you choose to say no, you're not worried about the consequences.
You're not.
Because I'm telling you no in the moment.
Right.
And I could be angry or upset or frustrated or agitated, whatever the reason may be.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about that. It's just like kids. You chastise them.
Right.
But then you be like, oh, but I had to push the envelope just a little bit more to see, you know, how far I can push you.
That's true. And then once you, I think, push it to the brim, and you felt it enough, you get in a posture where you like, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
That's, for me, that goes in the relationship space. So this go around, I made a decision. I might go through something, but it won't be that same thing. I don't have to keep going through the same thing to learn the same lesson.
That's insane.
That last thing, that divorce, it stung so bad. And I didn't know that it would become a passion or a business, but now I get it. It ran so deep that I made a decision. I'm gonna do it your way. I surrender that part of my life.
So I mean, I think that's the part that that should be our takeaway.
Yeah.
Is that I surrender.
I surrender.
And surrendering is hard.
And I think that's what our viewers should be taking away, is being able to surrender and to be able to say, God, I give it all to you.
Yes.
I'll do it. Regardless of the fact, regardless of the hardship, the uphills or downhills, whatever you bring, God, I'ma do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just amazing. Girl, you're doing it. Look at you.
Thank you, girl.
I'm loving it.
And I just want to say one more thing about that surrender piece. It might come with some tears. I'm not going to tell somebody that, you know, it's some things that have come across my path, and my flesh was like, just Jesus. And he's like, no, ma'am. Have a seat.
I know that's right.
Not gonna happen. So we don't want to sell this dream like, you know, every time you're just going to be all in. But we are going to say that if you choose to do it his way, then you get his results.
Listen, say that one more time for the people that's all the way in the back, because y'all laughing, but I'm serious, because I've had to learn this myself. I grew up in the church. I've been in church all my life. It feels like since before birth in church, and I've learned the hard way that if I keep doing it my way, I'm gonna keep running into these walls, right? So surrendering, whether I'm kicking and screaming, is now in my life is much more to do about the change in me.
Come on.
I got girls.
Yeah.
So the change in me, that's going to affect them.
Yes. That's right. That's right. It's generational.
Yes.
Yeah. And the devil wouldn't love more than just to take my family out, right?
Absolutely.
But we ain't doing that.
No,
not today.
At all.
But tell everybody, Venetia, how they can connect with you.
Yes. Well, you can connect with me at PrevailingWomenLifeCoaching.com, and you also can hit me up on Facebook, Venetia Wyatt, or Prevailing Women, Instagram, Prevail24_7.
Look at that.
_7.
Y'all, so definitely connect. I mean, girl, you a wealth of information.
Oh,
girl. But I think everybody's journey is different.
That's right.
And you just have to figure out what journey you're on.
Yes.
Because we're all on a journey
Yes, we
to a destination.
Absolutely.
The question
Yes.
is, what is your destination?
Mm.
So we
Yes.
thank you all for being a
Thank
part
you.
of the Girlfriends Chit Chat
Thank
Show.
you
As
guys for having me.
always,
Yes.
we thank the sister for coming and blessing us. We thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you again next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and check us out. Thank you. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Girl, we almost let you go, girl. Y'all, look. Y'all don't charge that head. You know, God, we always tell people all the time, please don't take any offense to y'all because we forgot to tell you all about this amazing anthology that Benicia has been a part of. Y'all, you have got to see this Arise and Shine anthology. Girl, tell us a little bit about it. Right quick, tell us.
Listen, I'm so excited. The visionary Dr. Tanya Blackwood brought an amazing group of women and one gentleman together just to tell our stories, right, of triumph. And it is one of the most powerful. Listen, I've read a lot of anthologies, so I love them. But this has been so near and dear and special to me. It's going to bring you inspiration, encouragement, freedom. It has just been an amazing experience. One of my first, so I'm very excited.
Well, you
And
are.
you should.
Yes.
I am.
Yes. I mean,
Yes.
so I definitely want you all to definitely get you a copy of this amazing anthology, Arise and Shine. You know, you'll be able to connect with so many amazing
Yeah.
co-authors in this book.
Yes.
And the visionary, y'all, she is a dream.
Yes, she is.
Dr. Tanya Blackwood was amazing, and she really did an amazing job with this book. So definitely take advantage of it. So definitely, we want to be able to have everybody get a copy of this amazing anthology. How can we connect and get this copy?
You can go right to bit.ly, Arise and Shine, Benicia.
All right, well, that should be easy enough. So you all definitely go and get you a copy of this amazing anthology. You all have a great one. Bye-bye.